All right, y'all. We back with another video, man. It's Black Balloon. Y'all already know what's going on, all right? Now, in this video, I had two clips saved that I really wanted to show y'all and talk about, right? One of them comes from G. Craig Lewis, who, I've used a bunch of his stuff on the channel in the past. Y'all already know who this is, right? So, the first half of the video will mostly consist of this message, right? He had a specific part in his latest video where he was mostly talking about what we consume and how much of the things we consume on the internet and, through older people watching the news all the time, and how what we consume controls our reactions emotionally. I thought it was an amazing clip because he's always been really good at tying, scripture into modern times or using hip hop to, get the message across to people who need to hear it, because a lot of people aren't able to sit and listen to things like this unless they see something that relates to them that's controlling the way that they are as a person right now. And I always thought, he was very good at doing that, because he has the whole hip hop series that he always does. He does it with technology and so on. And so it's the easy way to bridge the gap to younger minds to actually sit here and listen to it because you can get an idea of how much you are consuming and how it actually controls your reactions. I mean, he even talks about, sugar. And I remember I did a video before I really even understood it about how demons feed off of sugar. But even then I didn't completely understand that, you know, even off the food and the sugars and things that you consume and eat all the time can control the way you react to certain things. Like if you high off of sugar, if you high off all these bad foods, but it tastes so good to you, it controls the way that you react to certain things because technically it's almost like being on a drug. Your temple, your spirit is still not clean. You got all this processed foods in you. It may be good, full of flavor, but still it's not doing anything for your spirit. And it can sometimes, make you react, in ways that you may have not done if you weren't consuming the BS, right? So, anyways, we'll go ahead and get into this first clip. It's pretty interesting. It's not actually of him talking. It's some clips that he compiled to basically get his message across before he started talking, right? And I just thought it was pretty interesting to go ahead and react to on the channel. And then I got something else we're gonna get into that was basically like a testimony of someone going to hell. And man, I usually, don't react to stuff like that because a lot of the times I feel like people be like over exaggerating it. But this one in particular, man, I had to play this one for y'all. But anyways, y'all, let's go ahead and get into this clip. All right.
In 2014, the news website The City Reporter decided to only publish positive angles in their news for one day. What happened when they skipped all the negative perspectives? They lost 2/3 of their website traffic compared to other days. News producers cannot expect to do good business if they lose 2/3 of their website traffic. They simply need to meet the audience's desire for doom and gloom. The negative perspectives and the exaggerations in the news comes at a cost. They not only provide poor information, but also make us feel down, pessimistic and fearful. Numerous studies have shown how the news affects our well-being, causing stress, anxiety, depression, passivity and lower cognitive performance.
Cutting out the news was one of the best decisions of my life, and I will never go back. See, news is to the brain what sugar is to the body. You can swallow limitless quantities of news flashes, tidbits like jelly beans, but these jelly beans don't nourish you. They don't give you understanding. As a matter of fact, they're quite toxic to your brain. News events are just things happening, flickering on the world's surface. But to make better decisions, you want to understand what drives these events, what generates these events. And news stories don't tell you that. News give you the illusion of understanding, and that illusion is dangerous. I came to realize the more news you consume, the less you understand the world.
How is the news helping me? It's a bunch of problems and no solutions. You have to pick a political team, and everyone else is on the other side. It honestly sometimes feels like it doesn't reflect reality. When I just watch what's going on, I'm pretty powerless to change things anyway. I'm not saying it's not possible, I'm just saying that I think it's a better use of my time and energy to focus on myself and what I can contribute to the world, on something positive instead of being a keyboard warrior and condemning something I saw online. I mean, let's face it, there's an infinite amount of material available out there to get offended about.
32-year-old Bianca Lynch is a full-time digital nomad from North Carolina. While she's always wanted travel to be a part of her life, after the results of the 2024 election, she says she's making it permanent.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world.
It's very, very hard for us to see ourselves coming back and being in this country, having to be around that many people who felt that is someone who needs to be in power.
We've been following this trend of young people who don't see a future in this country. Before the election, you might remember our reporting about Gen Z Americans who felt like the American dream was out of reach.
I think the past 5 months where I hit 500 job applications, I got so depressed because I blamed myself.
And they said they were so exhausted by politics, they didn't even vote.
It's hard to change, but it's sometimes hard to stay where you're at.
Now, after the election, they're not alone in looking to leave the country. Google searches for digital nomad visas, how to move to Canada, and best countries to move to all peaked the day after the election.
Celebrity worship in the West is absolutely mind-boggling. These people look at them like they're gods, man. There's no other way to put it. Like, celebrities consume people's lives, and it's much more of a problem on the women's side. Social media is now their new gossip echo chamber where they can't stop consuming and what the latest Kim Kardashian this and who said what and what dramatic show happened there and girl, oh my God, can you believe this? And spilled the tea and do all this. It's wild.
We reject our mothers and our grandmothers. We reject their teachings only to worship these idols. That's why American Idol became so big, because now we're living in a time where idols are bigger than God. Homie, these are real demonic forces that our people have latched on to, and they worship them. This have never been black people. We worship these people, homie. We can't look past our entertainers as if they the greatest of all, and they not.
When I did not look at a screen for 7.5 weeks, my memory went from the 50th percentile of adult men in America to the 99th percentile. There was only 1% of men with better memory than me when I finished this experiment.
So we have fake celebs, fake food, fake news, fake life. Like, are you guys awake to this yet? Like, we live in a world that's built on deception, right? Celebrities aren't real. The people that are idolized by millions, the Kardashians, the influencers, the A-listers, the elite, are walking illusions. Their bodies are bought, their faces are filtered, their lifestyles are carefully curated to sell a dream that doesn't exist. And then they preach this body positivity while secretly getting things like liposuctions, BBLs, endless surgeries, and telling young girls that if they just work out and eat right, they're going to look like them. But it's such a fallacy. The money, it's fake. The happiness, it's fake. The relationships, it's all staged. And these people aren't even here to inspire you. They're here to distract you and manipulate you. And even the food isn't real either, right? It's designed to keep you sick, sluggish, and dependent on a system that profits from your suffering. Overprocessed, filled with chemicals, designed to cause addiction and disease and long-term health issues, right? Look around us. Look at the autoimmune diseases. Look at obesity. Look at the mental health disorders that are skyrocketing, and yet the same industries that create the problem sell the cure. And the news, it's not information.
You know what that sounds like? It sounds like the devil. You know, this stuff is not sent here to distract us. America is not set up to distract us. It's set up to destroy us. Destroy your spirit, your soul, your mind, and your body. Everything we consume here is each angled at those different parts of you. You know, food, destroying your body and your health. what we consume, all the negative news and, evil and murder, destroying your spirit, your soul, all these different things attack a different point of your body. It just sounds like the devil trying to basically devour us all. And we are so caught up in consuming and worshiping idols and worshiping, not just, people don't have to just be, an idol that you worship. It could be anything else, It doesn't always have to be a celebrity that is an idol who you worship. Your phone comes into play. Technology comes into play. This topic, it often makes me think about myself. I can't talk about this and not think about me and the fact that I have to consume a bunch of this stuff in order to present these videos, bring content that is more making people aware. And let me say this, I would much rather be in the position I am now where I consume a bunch of sometimes dark things, dark messages, to expose the darkness. I would much rather be in this position than like a channel that made themselves a platform off of gossip or keeping up with celebrities. Like they said, there's a bunch of channels here on YouTube. They just do videos when something happens in the celebrity world. Lil Durk got locked up, or the Kardashians started a new promotion with Skims, or a new brand deal or something like that. Like, it's the most simple topics, and boom, 200,000 views in 15 hours because so many people consume it and want to be kept in a loop about what's going on with their favorite celebrity, that kind of information is pushed more than anything. The algorithm is like, oh, people love this stuff, so we're going to push it everywhere. But obviously on our type of content, it doesn't really happen that way because this is not what the world wants to push. The internet, the algorithm, they don't want to push this kind of talk, So my point is that I would much rather be doing what I'm doing, even though, yes, I am consuming. I'm not, trying to say that some of this stuff doesn't affect me mentally, but, that's why we have to take breaks. I pray and I ask God to, allow me to be filled with things that help me. Allow me to be filled with things that will also help the people that are watching me. Because, spiritually, we're connecting. So my spirit, my soul has to be in line in order to present this information and, kind of help y'all, and I just see it as like, as long as I keep that attitude and I continue to pray to, have certain things in me dissolve that don't need to be there. Even though I can research and do all of this stuff and be consumed by a lot of different topics and this and that, as soon as I'm done with it, I learn from it and it's gone. I don't just bask in it. I don't let things eat me up. And maybe that's like one of my superpowers in a sense. You know what I'm saying? I can do all of this stuff and then I can move on. You know what I'm saying? So I almost feel like that's a superpower of mine, because in this game, in this world of consumption, all the stuff that we're presented with every day from the internet, our phones, our TVs, you have to be able to let go. That's almost like in relationships and stuff. But, even when it comes to this stuff in our world, all the negativity, you got to be able to let go, turn it off. You have to be able to turn the internet off. Turn the news off, even when it comes to the food, things that we're consuming, the food that we can worship. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you can worship so much. Like, you can worship a routine that you have. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to change, switch it up, turn it off, make yourself adapt, make your brain adapt to different things, not just always be consumed by the same things. And that's, even with your daily routine, don't be consumed by just doing the same thing over and over and over. And we already know these phones is the number one reason. So when you go work out, when you go walk, when you go do certain things, let's start leaving our phones. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll go to the gym, everybody got their headphones on, listening to music, bro. Leave it. You don't need headphones in the gym. Just work out. You're constantly consumed. We don't need to listen to music. Why are you listening to music? Just think. Think to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because I also feel like when you're working out and you got headphones on listening to music, you're not even clearing up here. You can't even get the full effect of working out and getting that high off of working out because you're still listening to some bullshit probably. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to go off topic, but it's all about what we consume and what we choose to worship. You know what I'm saying? Like, we already know worshiping, idols and celebrities is the top tier. Just like that little piece where Charleston White said it as well, people put that stuff over their own family, over their grandma. I don't know, man. This is just one of those topics where it's crazy. It says, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly. And none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
Horrible smell to them. Horrible smell. And a lot of them smell like sulfur too. Like, that's why a lot of people who I've talked to who had experiences with demons, they always smell like a sulfuric smell. They stink. They smell bad. They're horrible. But then I also saw demons as tall as this pen. They're small. You got some, they all sizes, all shapes, all sizes, but some of them had red eyes, some of them had yellow eyes with the slits in them, and some of their skins were scaly. Like I said, they had that reptile, like the reptilian type look. But some of them didn't have the reptile look. Some of them were just so deformed and ugly, hairy. It just didn't make sense. Some of them were just so disproportionate. It didn't make any sense.
Did they notice you when you fell?
No, not right away. Not right away. One of them did, and that's how I look back, because I never saw the Lord. But now that I look back, He had to be with me to be protecting me, because the hatred that they have for us, it is beyond description. It is beyond words. They hate. There's no form of hate here on this planet that can even get close to how they feel about us. They hate you so bad, you can feel it. The energy will kill you. If their hatred was in the form of a weapon, here on earth, you would die. You would die. They hate. When I say hate, hate is an understatement. Hate would feel like love compared to the hatred that they have for us. Literally. Yeah. But as I looked at the pits and the people, some of them were like charred skeletons, burned up skeletons. Some of them had flesh hanging off of them. Okay. And the thing is, they were trying to crawl out. And now, because once you get there, you know that you know pretty much everything. You can see a person in hell and know why they're there. There's no time there. There's no time that you have to take to learn, because everything is connected. So you know that you know. And they were there to guard the people from coming out the pit. They had these spears and these ancient things, and people were trying to crawl out. They were sticking them, grabbing them, especially the big giant, grabbing them and throwing them right back into the pits and the lava. And then what got me, though, like I was saying before, I forgot to mention, was the screams and the yells. Okay? It moves your spirit. The sense of the way these people were screaming and in agony and the regret and the pain, it is beyond comprehension. Even right now as we speak, that place is going on right now. And that's what reminds me every day. It's happening right now as we speak. People are there right now, and it's so many people. It is so many people. But as I'm trying to get up and I look, and I'm looking at these pits, and I'm just, now I thought I was already scared and full of anxiety. Now it's just beyond. It keeps growing. There's no limit to fear in the spiritual realm. Just when you think, okay, I'm maxed out of my anxiety. I'm maxed out on my, no. It keeps growing and it doesn't stop. There's no limit to how fearful you become. I'm trying to get up. Then all of a sudden I felt something grab my head, and I can see the claw. This thing had to be huge, and it threw me. And when it threw me, the strength of this thing, it was like me picking up this pen and throwing this pen. It was like it was nothing. So I don't care what people say, oh, I will go in down there and I'll fight. Nah, I'm sorry. No, it's not happening. I don't care if you're the strongest man on earth. You have nothing.
It's like you had no control, right? You have no control.
You have no control. You have no strength. It's like you didn't eat in months. You don't have no nutrients, no kind of muscle, none of that. That's out the window. That comes from God. And everything, that's not there. So you can try your best if you want to, and there's nothing going to happen. So as I got hit this wall. But now, as I noticed, Lord had to be with me because I didn't feel, because of the force that I was thrown, I would have felt, I knew I was going to feel the pain. Because one thing I'm going to explain to everyone, like I explained before, my testimony is that here on the body, we have a nervous system, right? So if I was to touch you and just pinch your hand, you would feel it only on your hand. In the spirit world, there's no such thing. If you get hit in the hand, you feel it through your whole body simultaneously at the same time. You won't feel it just in an isolated place where you got pinched. You will feel it all at one time. From your head.
So pain also is more intense as well.
By a million. And that's an understatement. It is, because the spiritual world is people don't understand. Everything here physical is the leftovers from the spiritual. That's why the Lord said your thoughts are more realer. That's why you get judged by your thoughts. Because that's what the real is. It's not, your action is just a reflex of your thoughts. So now I know what the Lord means by that, because the spiritual is way more realer than this. Everything here physical is leftovers from the spiritual world.
Now, I found his testimony to be very powerful, y'all. It immediately, it just immediately clicked. And I've heard him tell part of his testimony months back, because he started popping up everywhere on YouTube. All of these channels were interviewing him because his testimony was so real, like people could feel it. And his background was that he was a gang member from Chicago, and the reason he went to hell or had that experience is because he was shot twice and he almost died. And so he explains that experience. He explains being sent to hell, basically when he was unconscious from being shot twice, right? I have to say, I don't want to experience that. I don't think God needs to send me to hell and bring me back up here in order for me to get my life together. Some people are meant to experience it and come back and spread the word and try to help and save as many people as possible. Some are meant to experience that just for those simple reasons. Go back, spread the word. Even makes you think about the guy that was young and he went like super viral on the internet, millions, tens of millions of views. And he had one of like the most powerful testimonies you'll ever hear. I remember because people used to always play the part where, he said, so many people were being judged and thrown away, and God would be like, depart from me. And then all he would hear is whoosh, and people just whoosh. And he said the screams would be so loud. But then when God, says depart from me, and you can hear the sound go whoosh, you'll hear the screams fade out as the person's soul disappear. Y'all know who I'm talking about. It was the dark-skinned kid. He was younger back then. He's like a full-grown man now. This was probably like 10 years ago. Y'all know which one I'm talking about, because that video had like over 10 million views, and it definitely served its purpose to make more people aware. Now, this is a topic that's, is very touchy, because a lot of people don't believe in hell. A lot of people believe they can do whatever they want on this earth and they will see no judgment. First, they don't even believe in God. They don't believe in Jesus. They just don't see it that way. Some people will be like, yeah, we live in hell on earth. And I'll be like, no, this is not hell. You can use that term to explain how some things can be so evil. But no, when you hear these type of testimonies from people, this is not hell. This ain't even a version of hell. This is still earth. If the greatest gift is from God is to live life and life itself, this ain't hell. You don't want to experience what hell is. And we can get a glimpse of that from people who've had these visions and have been basically physically sent there. We don't want to experience that. And so just like he was explaining, he said there was demons of all kind of sizes. He said some demons were the size of a pin. And some of the stuff he explained, I never heard. But you know how something, you can hear it. It's like when someone speaks with the Holy Spirit, or, you know, when someone is being guided by the Spirit, it's like you can feel that this is true, you know, and that's a gift we've been given by God himself. And he was saying that, you know, these demons have, and this is something I think we've heard all our life, that demons hate us, literally hate humans, which is why they manipulate and trick us so much, use us, and, you know, get in your ear and tell you to kill yourself and do all kind of wild stuff. Yeah, kill that girl, kill that guy. You know, they hate us. And he said in hell, the hate is so strong that if it was used as a weapon in this physical life, you would die. So that's how strong the hate is. If it was turned into a weapon physically, you would die from it. It almost makes me think about seeing God. You know, they say we cannot, we here on earth, we will never be able to place our own eyes on God, or we would cease to exist. That's the type of power that, you know, the spirit world and, you know, God has. That right there, in a sense, it just kind of, it resonated immediately. It just kind of blew my mind. And it also makes you think about the darkness of hell. That's something that we hear from a lot of real testimonies. Like I say, I don't listen to everyone I come across, because sometimes I be feeling like people just be stretching it for the internet. But when I know when someone has had a real experience, I just know, I can feel it. It makes me think about the darkness of hell that people describe. They say that even like the thing with the whole 3 days of darkness that a lot of people talk about we may experience on earth. But that darkness in hell, I also relate it back to the, you know, the darkness that was in the beginning of time as described by the book of Genesis, which I think we talked about with the whole CERN thing as well. You know, that darkness that's, you can't penetrate it, basically. You can't see through it. Light doesn't even light up. Like a flashlight will not exist in this darkness. There's nothing thicker. There's nothing darker than that darkness. You can't penetrate it with light. You damn near can't even call it darkness. That's something we have no idea. We don't understand what it is. It's just, it just is what it is. It cannot be penetrated. It is a thick substance. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way my mind can wrap my head around what that evil darkness really is. And that is what makes up hell. You know what I'm saying? He also described something that we just talked about as well, as far as how demonic presence and demons, how they stink and smell like sulfur. Remember, I said if you want to really smell the way a demon smells, become an alcoholic, and that smell is going to seep through your pores, which a lot of people already describe sulfur type of smell, you know, which is also kind of found in human flatulence as well. Like that raw, eggy kind of smell is pretty disgusting, but y'all get what I'm trying to say. Just like I described it in the last video, is a very warm and thick smell. You know, it's not always like an egg type of smell, but you'll know when you smell it. Like they stink. Just as that's the best way you can put it. But like I said, the topic of hell and people believing in hell and believing that some of the things that they do in life and do not repent for, you know, a lot of people just don't believe life is so simple like that. They just don't think that, oh, they can do a few things and gossip their whole life and end up going to hell for that. But little do they know, you actually can. That's, you know, you have to remember some of these things. You know what I'm saying? And don't get caught up in the beginning of this video, worshiping idols. You know, worshiping things that you have no business even caring about. A lot of folks forget there is judgment. A lot of people forget this, y'all. And I think this is a stark reminder, you know, that there is judgment someday. Like, it's best to live your life and think of that and fear the Lord and be prepared. Because what else are you living for? If you just living in this world, you have no fear of God. You have no fear of nothing. You just think you just gonna die and come back one day. You are sadly mistaken. You were not put here just to live your life and just die and come on back and do anything you want, commit evil and backstab people, treat people any kind of way. You know, it just doesn't work that way. A lot of people's minds are so twisted. They've gotten so far from why we are actually here. They refuse to believe any of this stuff. They refuse to believe that they will be judged for their actions and their sins in their lifetime. They refuse it. And I am bold enough and strong enough and confident enough to record this video loudly and tell you we will all be judged. And I do not want to experience hell. I don't even want a vision of hell. I told y'all I already had a vision. I told y'all I already had a vision back in 2017 where I saw the earth on fire. I don't want none of that. I don't want it. And plenty of y'all got in the comments and said y'all have had similar visions. I don't need another one. God gave me that one. I don't think he's going to give me another one because that's all I need. I still remember it like it happened last night. I don't need another one. That's my reminder. I can listen to other people and their visions, but me, myself, I'm good. I've already seen it. Not saying I saw hell, but I saw the world on fire. I'm okay. I don't know. I'm good. I don't need to see another one. I already know what that meant. As soon as I woke up that day, I knew what that meant for me and for everybody else. But yeah, man, we'll go ahead and end it right here, y'all. This is one of those necessary videos, man. Things that, have to be talked about. Yeah, y'all. With that being said, man, we'll go ahead, cut it here. I got another video coming up for y'all on Sunday. That kind of goes back to, what we always do, Sacrifice Sunday. And yeah, with that being said, y'all let me know what y'all think about this one, Black Balloon. And I'm gonna see y'all soon, all right? I'm out.